Good afternoon. This devotional is being recorded for Friday, August 11th, 2023. And it tells what happens when Jesus went home. In Mark chapter 6, verses 1 to 6, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, we see, Jesus left that part of the country and returned with his disciples to Nazareth, his hometown. The next Sabbath he began teaching in the synagogue, and many who heard him were amazed. They asked, "Where did he get all this wisdom and the power to perform such miracles?" Then they scoffed. "He's just a carpenter, the son of Mary and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. And his sisters live here, right here among us." They were deeply offended and refused to believe in him. Then Jesus told them, "A prophet is honored everywhere, except in his own hometown and among his relatives and his own family." And because of their unbelief, he couldn't do any miracles among them, except to place his hands on a few sick people and heal them. And he was amazed at their unbelief. Jesus had an itinerant ministry where he went from town to town, and every time the Sabbath came, every Saturday, he'd go into the synagogue. And he'd take his turn taking the scroll and reading from it and teaching from it. And he was always amazing to everyone because he spoke with great authority, and he spoke with eloquence and kept the attention of the crowd. He wasn't boring. He comes to his own hometown and he does the same thing he did everywhere else. He goes to the Sabbath and taught in the synagogue. And many were amazed. They said, "Listen to him, this boy's done good." But most of them started getting upset and scoffing. They said, "Where did he get all this wisdom? I sat next to him in school. He wasn't that bright then. And where did he get the power to perform such miracles? What do you mean he's healing people? Who does that? How did he get that kind of power?" And some just scoffed at him. "He's just a carpenter." Listen, no believer is just anything. Every believer is a special child of God, called and anointed and empowered by the Holy Spirit to do great things for God. No one who believes in Jesus Christ is just an anything. But they said he's just a carpenter. He's the son of Mary and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. And look, his sisters live right here among us. We know his family. His family's not that important. His family's not that big a deal. His family's not that great. He can't be that big of a deal. They were deeply offended and refused to believe in him because he's just like one of them. And they couldn't take it, that he had that kind of spiritual power and that kind of authority, and they didn't. They said, "We know him. He can't be that special." And that says something interesting about our human condition. We can get too familiar with the supernatural. We can get to where we discount the power of answered prayer and fail to see the miraculous, or we ignore the beauty of changed lives and fail to recognize what God is doing. And we just look at it as all ordinary and commonplace and forget that we're seeing and witnessing and observing the intervention of our world by the supreme creator of the universe. Heaven forbid we ever get so used to the miraculous that we see it as commonplace. We get so used to changed lives that we forget to recognize the beauty of what it means for that life to be changed. That we get so used to forgiveness that we think we can sin with impunity because he'll forgive us anyway. God forbid that we take the holy and the supernatural and the spiritual for granted. This week, may you recognize the beauty of changed lives, the power of answered prayer, the awesome nature of creative work in God throughout this universe. And may you be awestruck and amazed all over again by the action of God in your life. God bless you.